Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
Welcome back to this special presentation of the documentary Coming Out Under Fire. And we're joined in the studio today with John Forrett and Laura Slattery, who are both veterans of the military. You both have also seen this documentary. John, did it harken back for you of any experiences, or did it have an impact on you?
Oh, absolutely. I really enjoyed it. I couldn't help but getting a little teary-eyed towards the end of it, and thinking not only about my own experiences and the things I saw, how it was going to impact the World War II veterans in my American Legion post, how they're going to actually finally get to see some documentation that shows just what they went through, and now that the world is really hearing about it, it's really incredible.
Laura, do you think the documentary adds to the debate that's currently ongoing in D.C. and in the Pentagon about reevaluating this policy of don't ask, don't tell?
Most definitely. When you look at the quality of service that these people provided and what the policy at that time put them through, there's no question. And what really struck me was in the beginning of the film where it says gays were discharged because they were mentally ill, right? And then they became security risks, right? And then the issue became unit cohesion. Well, and all of those things are, still none of them hold water, really. And when people get discharged today under the don't ask, don't tell policy, if you say you're gay, it charges you with moral irreprehensibility or something like that. I can't even, some big word, right? But immoral behavior or immorality just for claiming who you are. And the idea that in the 1993, when Don't Ask, Don't Tell was put into place, really the focus was on unit cohesion. Mm-hmm. And there was an article that came out in the Joint Forces Quarterly at the end of 2009, and it really shot holes in that argument, saying that to be dishonest about who you are, that destroys morale, that destroys unit cohesion. That's where the security risk is, really. The security risk is in not talking about who you are and hiding something.
Well, in your case, Laura, when you were in West Point and on active duty in Hawaii, did you have to live a different kind of life? Were you careful about what you did? Were you at all fearful about being outed, and did it take a toll on you?
It did. I was terrified. I came out to 3 people. One was the chaplain, and he said, "It's not right, stop doing what you're doing." The second was a fellow that I had dated, and he was a company commander, and I was only a lieutenant, so he was a captain. And so there was a little bit of a power differential. But I felt like I always needed to be honest. And so when I had to tell him that I was in love with a woman, and so we couldn't go out anymore. And I'm just so thankful that he wasn't the vindictive type. But had he been the vindictive type, my career would have ended early. That's for sure.
And didn't it affect one of your relationships as well?
How so?
In terms of you had a girlfriend who you wanted to bring to Hawaii, I think you were mentioning earlier.
This is true. Yes, I was telling her, yeah. And so the woman that I was dating was not living in Hawaii. And I wanted to continue and explore what the relationship might mean. And she offered to move to Hawaii. But I was terrified that if she came, people would find out that I was lesbian or I was in a relationship with this woman. And so I told her she couldn't come. And I had to end the relationship just because I was so afraid. And because Hawaii is a small place. And like I was talking with you, John, there was one gay bar that I knew about, and I could never go because the MPs were there. And so it was a time that I needed to explore but couldn't explore because there was no avenue for me on this tiny island.
John, this really speaks to why it's important that this issue for a lot of gays and lesbians in the military, why it's important to change this policy. Because a lot of people have the impression that, why can't the gay and lesbian soldiers just, go along and not make waves and do their duty and be done with it and no one will be the wiser. There is a toll, though, isn't there?
Oh, there absolutely is. There's many tolls. Actually, I want to touch on one thing before I go into that. You brought up something. I remember I didn't have any gay friends when I was in the military because I knew that was guilt by association. And I knew that I couldn't go to gay bars because that was guilt by association. So I totally understand that was me personally. But let's talk about our active duty men and women today, right now. They're over there putting their lives on the line for this country. And let's not even go about how much they're paid for what they do because we all know it's not enough. But there's many differences between the straights and the lesbians, the gays and lesbians. For example, if a straight member is having a bad day, or his wife wrote him a letter saying, "Oh my God, one of the kids is sick, and Johnny went to the hospital, he broke his arm," they can go to where a phone bank is, pick up a satellite phone, call the home, and say, "Oh my God, what's going on? Tell me about it. Oh, is everything okay? Or I'm having a bad day. I'm going crazy here. I don't know what to do. I just need someone to talk to." They can do that. But if a gay or lesbian who may be out to their fellow soldiers and even their command, was to pick up that same phone, call their partner, their lover, or whoever, and say, "Oh my God, I love you, I miss you," they would be outing themselves. Everything would change for them from that. They would be discharged dishonorably because they said those terrible words on a satellite phone that's being monitored by Department of Defense. So that's just one example of the difference in treatment. I mean, think about it. For example, the Red Cross. Let's talk about the Red Cross for a second. They can out you too. For example, let's say a gay or lesbian member's partner died in America, and somehow they got the news, either in a letter from a friend or something, who was even careful with the way they wrote it. They can't go to the chaplains, they can't go to the Red Cross and say, "Oh my God, my partner's dead, I need to go back home, the person I love is gone." They can't do any of that. They're trapped in a war zone, and now they can't even be who they really are, and their rights are not the same as the straight members. It's so different. Even though they're out, they definitely know their place and how they have to march that line.
So when you see some military officials, top generals, talking about, they believe it's disruptive, so we should delay or not deal with it now. At the same time, it's having an impact on so many people out in the field. It's
having a huge impact. If you've got 65,000 troops who are gay and lesbian, think about all the people who've been injured. And think about people who have died, if they're gay and lesbian, and next of kin. All of those issues, for gays and lesbians, they don't exist. Visiting rights in the hospital, right? The things that we fought for here in California, right, with domestic partnership and all of that, they don't have any of those rights. And with all those people getting wounded, all the soldiers, yeah, it's almost criminal, I would say.
Actually, I want to touch on that. She just said something very important. When you deploy and go overseas, you have to fill out paperwork in the event something happens to you. So what if you have a partner here? You can't put down partner. I've talked to several people. They've named their partner anything from cousin to nephew to brother or sister. They had to lie about their next of kin. They had to lie about who should be contacted in the event something happens to them. And also, this policy is, I'll tell you how bad it is. Think about this for a minute. If you work at the Pentagon as a civilian federal government employee, you're allowed to be gay, openly gay. You have all the rights and privileges. You can have domestic partnership rights. And the president just pushed through that. They stopped that thing from taking the benefits away from domestic partners. Now, that civilian employee, what if their counterpart in the Pentagon is a military officer and that person is gay? Oh no, they're not allowed to have all those benefits and privileges, and they're working in the same building with someone. You see how stupid the policy is? It really is about control. They just want to keep the little control they have over the morality of the military. If they would just let it go and let our soldiers are professionals. I don't think there's going to be a big run for the border on immorality as soon as everyone's allowed to serve openly.
Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world. To learn more, visit linktv.org.